Aloha everyone, Joshua Hayes at BigWaveTrading.com. Considering the action in Facebook after hours, the follow through today's session was pretty good overall. However, you know, I'm going to be open-minded about this, and as long as we want to drift up, we want to drift up. But I got to admit, it's just still all wrong. Today, the New York Stock Exchange, you can see right here, it was up 0.15% today. I like how BOP's going in the right direction, but with the heavier volume, even though it's technically another pocket pivot point signal day, it's kind of a churning session right there. That's a churning bar print. And if you look at the S&P 500, you've got a down day greater than 0.2% on heavier volume. Folks, what is that? That's a distribution day. So not that good. And in the NASDAQ, even though it contained itself, the orderly selling within, still being down 1% today on heavier above average volume. The only tall bars above average volume since our bottom in February and April are red. Surprise, surprise, surprise. So another distribution day there. The NASDAQ 100, you're looking at basically the exact same thing. Distribution day there. Pretty ugly session overall. Dow Jones Industrial Average is the only index that escaped it. Actually up 0.44% today. And then the IWM, the only way I can look at the Russell 2000 on Telechart, look at that little intraday reversal. That's a churning session, folks. That's a big, big, big doji inverse hammer reversal candle on above average volume. So is it possible now a 1, 2, 3 quadruple top? I don't know. We'll see. Normally triple tops are not. Quadruple tops are even less likely. So maybe hopefully more chop. But either way, very weird price action. But what do you get and what do you expect? What do you expect, and this is what you get from earnings season. Now looking at today's trades, you can see all of the limit orders went off pretty orderly. It took 5 minutes to fill them all. And then after that, I thought it was a lot of stops. But now looking at it right now with all of you, there wasn't a whole lot of stops today. And to be honest with you, yeah, Dest had two pretty ugly ones, and MSA was kind of a disaster. But overall, if you look at everything, it wasn't that bad. You got a sell stop, profit stop, sell stop, profit stop, sell stop. Or wait, actually, that was a profit stop. Sorry. Profit stop, sell stop, profit stop, sell stop, profit stop, profit stop, profit stop, profit stop, profit stop, profit stop. I don't know, but let's just assume, I'm pretty sure that's a sell stop. Tiny losses. Profit stop, that one's a sell stop, I do believe. If not, it's a barely profit stop. Sell stop, sell stop, sell stop, sell stop. Small losses, small losses, small losses, small losses. So overall, not too bad on the stop front. And then on an end-of-day basis, MICT is a full sell signal. I was already completely knocked out heading into today. CBAY was a full sell signal. I was completely knocked out heading into today. This has been a disaster trade ever since the original entry on this stock. I can't even remember. I think it was right there. Just a disaster overall position for me. Happy to see it go on an end-of-day basis. And then DEST is a 100% full sell signal. I actually still have like about 20% of the original position, maybe only 15% of the original position. I'm not quite sure. And my final stop is a 50-day moving average because it still has very strong green BOP. Sold off on lower volume. And I had a stop here, and then the 50-day moving average. Initially it was here, but once the 50-day moving average got above this low, that became my final stop. So on my final part of position, the 50-day moving average is where it's at. 50% sell signals, ENPH, you got to move half of whatever you have to 1 cent below today's low a day. And all of these that I'm going through, ABMD, CDXS, and it was a profit stop. So now in review, we can see it was a profit stop for a 2% gain right around there because obviously it clipped this low right here, but still profit stop. Very good. RRR is a 50% end-of-day sell signal, closing below the 50-day moving average, and that support low, and that gap up low right there on heavier volume. IMMU, 50% sell signal with its first close below its 50-day moving average on heavier volume. Doesn't ever need to be above average, just heavier volume right now due to the overall structure and foundation of this really weird V-shape, no volume on the up days, uptrend to new highs. SRPT, I lost this position a long time ago right here. Obviously, that was the low, and it's done nothing but trend higher since. Still tracking on an end-of-day basis for members. If you're still long, 50% right there, sell signal, and then success with the close below the signal dates low a day. That's a 50% sell signal. I moved one of my stops up to here. That got clipped at the open, and then my stop here, which I think that's the lower low, whatever. That got clipped. But now whatever I have left, 50% goes to right here. I have a stop level, I believe, here, here, and here for now on the books after that 50%er. New long positions. So that takes us to our new long position, I should say. There are only 2 new quality long positions and 1 add signal. And the add signal is basically for me to get long because it gapped up above my limit order, never pulled back to my new limit order. I'll just go through that whenever we get there. But first off, let's go through MMSI. MMSI canceling quality, high canceling quality stock, was in my daily volume surge scan, which looks at stocks that have the biggest volume surges relative to their normal trading history. So MMSI with today's volume surge clearly made that scan, and it was obviously also my price volume BOP surge scan. So 1, 1.5, 2%. It's not extended. It's not an add signal. This is the first 2% long signal I can remember in weeks. So I don't know when the last 2% long signal was, but here it finally is. Limit order 55.50. First cut loss. The low a day at today's signal date 53.85. 5 cents below. It's a 5-cent stock. Final cut loss 5 cents below this low, right, whatever the low below there. And since it's a 5-cent stock, and somehow it had odd share number due to some big institutional order, more than likely, 52.95 is the final stop, and the 50-day moving average happens to be 52.97. So 52.95 lines up below the 50 and that low a day right there as your final stop on MMSI. 2% of my capital. And then PGTI, this is an earnings winner. At first I was thinking, it might be up a little too much as an earnings winner. Then I realized it's not a very high beta name overall, so my inherent risk is very low to that first stop. So with PGTI, that made it that made me want to take it as a long stop from the canceling scan. Then as I go through my perfect speculator scan, I see it in there. So it's canceling and perfect speculator quality. It was also confirmed in my new 52-week high scan on above average volume and my price volume BOP surge scan. So this one actually would have been 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5% of my account capital. But it is extended from all of its short-term moving averages. So it's 1.25% of my account capital. Limit order 23.80. First cut loss right below the low. It's a 5-cent stock also, so 22.50. And then my final cut loss is the gap fill of the recent highs. Not here, because that's splitting hairs between 22.35 and 22.50. If 22.50 goes, I can only assume 22.35 will go. Want to give this stock a little bit of wiggle room, at least the 50-day moving average. So my final cut loss will be this high day right here, 21.90. So 21.90 is the final stop, 22.50 is the first stop, 23.80, 1.25% of my account capital, which then leads us to VSTM. Now VSTM is the stock that I was talking to you about that I was unable to get long on the initial signal. The initial signal was right here. Boom, boom. You can see that it was not extended, so my limit order was 733. Gaps up. What's the low a day? 734. So that becomes my new limit order, 734. The next day, it got close, but it didn't touch. Kept 734 on the books for the next 10 sessions. Never filled. Forget about it. Moving on. So today, halfway, you can see how it's ebbing and flowing. Rounding out base, rounding higher. Pulling back, maybe it'll try to round higher for a nice ascending base pattern. What I like about it is that there's below average volume on this consolidation. Even though BOP kind of fell today, it's still at a higher green level than the previous few green BOP levels, following a nice surge in BOP the day before. So it's overall trending up since it went back below the zero line. So it's trending up with quiet volume, and it appears to be an ascending base. So with an execution right here, if I can get long, it's barely not touching the 20-day moving average. To me, it's too close of a call to where I don't want to miss getting long this stock again in case it does try to gap up and run away from me again. So I'm going to pretend like the 20-day moving average is touching the price, which means my limit order is at 805. The very first cut loss level is right there, 766. I believe it's this low right here. Nope, that low right there. So 766. Next cut loss level, 733. And the final cut loss level on this position, add signal, 670. Now from the original signal, this would have been my final stop and would still be on the books. So for me with this add signal, I'll have my 805 limit, but I will be using 766, 733, 670, and 590 in fair and full disclosure. All right, everyone, have a great rest of your Thursday evening. I'll see you in the chat room Friday morning. Aloha.